Tommy Ivisic, in my opinion, was the MVP of last year's basketball team. But here and now, I'm going to tell you why I think next year he could be even better.
You are Locked On Illini, your daily podcast on the Illinois Fighting Illini. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome all to another Friday edition of Locked On Illini. Thank you all so much for making us your first listen each and every day. Going to be a little bit of an abbreviated episode, but if you don't mind, make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. My name is Sonny Verma, again, your host here at Locked On Illini, where I continue to provide you coverage daily. That's right. You know what? In my head, I can hear you guys saying it with me now because I feel like I say it so often at the beginning of every show. So if you do say it with me, let me know in the comment section. But yeah, we do the show absolutely free every single day. The only thing I ask for in return is if you can hit that like button and just to help this community grow, which, by the way, I have a very special announcement in the second half of this show. So please make sure you stay tuned, just talking about this community and how it continues to get bigger and bigger. But like I said, it is Friday, and I figured today we're going to continue our player profile series. The first week, we started with Kylan Boswell, and then the second week, we did Andrei Stojakovic. And so this Friday, I decided to go ahead and do Tomislav Ivisic. And quite frankly, a lot of NBA scouts have become a little excited when it comes to Ivisic. So we're going to be talking about the 7'1" Croatian center who turned heads in his debut season in Champaign and is poised to have one of the Big Ten's most impactful, be one of the Big Ten's most impactful players next year. Today's episode is going to be all about Tomislav, what he showed us last season, where his game is growing, what the addition of his twin brother, Zvonimir, means, and yes, how high the ceiling is for him and for Illinois. First and foremost, let's recap last year. Tomislav wasn't just good last year. In my opinion, he was great. In his first year at Illinois, he started 31 of 32 games, and he averaged 13 points per game, 7.7 rebounds per game, 2.3 assists, 1.2 blocks, and shot nearly 36% from the three-point land. And keep in mind, he's 7'1". He opened the year with a 14-point, 14-rebound double-double against Eastern Illinois, and really at that point never looked back. I do want to say, when I did the preview last year for this past season, Tomislav, I wanted to get 8 and 5 out of him. After seeing his stats at SC Derby, where he played in Europe for the last couple seasons, I wasn't very optimistic on how it was going to translate. So I think that might be one of the reasons I really liked his game so much. And, we'll talk about that in a second. By the end of the year, he racked up 11 double-doubles, ranking 4th in the Big Ten, and scored in double figures 21 times, including 5 20-plus point games. So what made Tomislav special? The ability to stretch the floor and still be a legitimate 5. He is the textbook example of a stretch 5. We're not talking about the occasional trail 3. No, in fact, Ivisic kind of lived out there. Almost half of his field goal attempts were from beyond the arc, and he still managed to shoot almost 36%. That's elite territory for a player half his size, much less being 7'1" and at the center position. And it's not even that. The reason he was the MVP of this team, it's even when he wasn't shooting, he was facilitating. Tommy had a 15.8% assisted rate and nearly a 1.5 to 1 assist to turnover ratio, which again is rare for a big man. He initiated the offense from the top of the key, operated on the short roll, and routinely found cutters with touch passes. Brad Underwood even said he's a guy that opens the floor and could pull defenders away from the front of the rim. Keep in mind, all season long, the comparison I kept making when I watched Tomislav was the reason I said he was MVP. And look, a lot of these guys now, a lot of the Illini content creators, writers talk about how Tomislav finished the season as the MVP. My everydayers in here, and particularly my day one guys in here, knows I was saying that very early in the season. I recognized very early just how important Tomislav was. And what I said was he reminded me of another big man that I can't say I grew up watching. I was an adult, but Joakim Noah of the Chicago Bulls. The same way Joakim, especially when Derrick Rose got hurt, one of the saddest day of any Chicago fan's life, by the way. When Derrick Rose was hurt, Joakim Noah essentially became the point guard. They'd hand him the ball at the top of the key, and he would make the right throw at the right time to the right cutter. And that's kind of what Tomislav Ivisic turned into halfway through the season. Again, that assist rate is not a joke. Even when we struggled without a point guard, without Kasparis for a stretch, and even at the end of the season, Kasparis certainly struggled. It was Tomislav Ivisic, and in particular, his chemistry with Will Riley, especially that last month. And how many free buckets did Will Riley get attacking the rim because Ivisic found him at the right time? I hope he can duplicate that with somebody next year, and he has some sort of chemistry with someone that's on this roster to replicate that. Because again, it was just a lot of free money shots, and it's Tomislav doing what Tomislav does really best. And then there was the NCAA tournament, where, again, out of anybody, Tomislav absolutely delivered. In the first round against Xavier, he put up 20 points, 10 boards, and 2 blocks. But the real eye-opener came in the second round versus Kentucky, where Ivisic dropped 19 points with 5 3-pointers, 4 blocks, and 3 assists. He straight up dominated the matchup in the previous round against the All-Big East second-teamer Zach Fremantle. That was a matchup a lot of Illini fans were legitimately worried about. And you know who noticed? Scouts noticed. In particular, NBA scouts noticed. He shot 9 for 21 from deep in the tournament and solidified himself as a legitimate NBA prospect, even appearing as a potential second-round pick before, thankfully, ultimately deciding to return to Illinois. So where is Tomislav going? One thing that doesn't get talked about enough, and that's why I keep repeating myself here, is the growth curve Ivisic showed from Europe to Illinois. In his final year with SC Derby, only 26% of Tomislav Ivisic's shots were 3-pointers. Last year at Illinois, 49%. That's a massive leap in offensive responsibility and spacing, and Illinois leaned into it. And props to Orlando Antigua and Brad Underwood for recognizing something in Tomislav that I certainly didn't see. That's not the type of player that I pictured Tomislav being on the court last year. But Brad, the coaching staff, saw something, and a big reason they ran one of the most efficient offenses in the country is because Tomislav developed into what he is. But the development isn't stopping. According to Derek Piper of the Illini Inquirer, this offseason, the Illini are working with Ivisic on 2 key areas. They want to punish mismatches. If a defense switches a smaller defender onto Ivisic, Illinois wants to be able to throw it down low and let him go to work. More strength work with Adam Fletcher, more on-the-court reps with Orlando Antigua. The focus is clear. Turn Ivisic into a legitimate threat and a floor spacer. I'll repeat myself again. I say this a couple times a month. This is why Orlando Antigua is one of the few assistant coaches that's going to be making $1 million, because we know about his recruiting prowess off the court, but he's one of the best big men developers in the entire country. He's developed number 1 picks in the NBA draft, and that's why working with Tomislav this season, and hopefully Zvonimir as well, is going to pay dividends for Tommy in his hopes for eventually making it to the NBA. Another thing they want to work on is the defensive physicality. This is still an area where he needs to improve. Ivisic occasionally got into foul trouble. Of course, Michigan and Maryland come to mind. And he struggled in time against drop coverage, especially against faster guards. Better footwork, stronger positioning, and improved lateral quickness are all on the checklist. Now, is Illinois playing a defense that's just not a good fit for Ivisic? Maybe. And, I am hoping that his brother, Zvonimir, who is a better shot blocker, is going to help out on the defensive end a little bit. But while he's not the greatest individual defender, I said this all season long, what I really appreciate about Tomislav is he's a vocal leader of the defense. You can constantly, if you're paying attention, you can hear him calling out the offense and trying to let the defenders in front of him know what's going to be run, who needs to go where, what they need to look out for. Again, very reminiscent to me of Joakim Noah and those Chicago Bulls teams. And here's where things get exciting. Tomislav won't be alone in the front court next year. His twin brother, Zvonimir, a 7'3" Arkansas transfer, is joining him. That's right. Illinois is rolling out one of the tallest and most skilled front courts in all of college basketball. Zvonimir brings his own offensive skill set, more of a pick and pop guy, shot blocking, as I mentioned, and face-up ability. Together, the Ivisic twins could give Illinois unmatched versatility, rim protection, and hopefully offensive creativity. There's even talk of high-low actions with Tomislav spacing and Zvonimir operating inside, or even vice versa. And you can't underestimate that chemistry that they bring. These two have been playing together their whole lives. You see constantly on TV last year where they would take photos of one brother watching the other one play. They're brothers, like literally blood brothers. And that could, and hopefully will, be a unique edge. Let's talk about the NBA for a second. Ivisic was on draft boards this past year, and now he's back with a chance to crack the top 40, maybe even higher if he continues this upward trajectory. He's a rare breed, a 7 foot with legit 3-point shooting, a great passing touch, rebounding instincts, and hopefully improving rim protection. If he tightens up that low post game a little bit while working with Orlando Antigua and learns to defend a little better in space, watch out. That's for the Big Ten. I'd argue he's the best center returning in the Big Ten Conference. Now that Trey Kaufman-Renn is going to be moving to the power forward spot, I understand Nate Biddle's a very talented center for Oregon as well. I think Tomislav Ivisic has everything in him to be the best center in the Big Ten Conference next season. And final thoughts. Tomislav isn't just another starter. I would argue that he could be the centerpiece of what Illinois' ceiling is going to look like. With his stretch 5 game, his hopefully improved post play, and his chemistry with his brother, he gives Brad Underwood more flexibility than almost any front court since he arrived in Champaign. Illinois, I truly do feel like, has Final Four potential. And a massive reason for that is Tomislav Ivisic. One thing's for sure, us Illini fans are going to be watching this very, very closely, and so will NBA GMs. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. And you can stop just managing your money and start building wealth. Me personally, I'm spending way too much money going out to eat. I got 2 kids. I'm tired. It's easy to go get food from the fast food restaurant. I know I got to keep that in check. And with Monarch Money, instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. And welcome back to Locked On Illini. It's going to be a shorter episode, but I did want to spend a minute or two, at least on this Friday, to thank you. Thank you in particular on the audio side. I got notification this morning. I got it in an email that Locked On Illini has officially become the second biggest, most downloaded audio podcast when it comes to Illini athletics. I'll remind you guys again, this show is less than 13 months old, right? And there's shows that have been going on for years. And yet, because of your guys' continued support, your guys' willingness to leave 5-star reviews on whatever your favorite audio platforms are, just the fact that you're downloading these episodes each and every day has bbeen noticed. And again, it's not just great for me. Of course, it's great for me, but it's great for just the future of Locked On Illini. It's a channel that, in my opinion, took way too long to be made. And now that the Locked On Network is able to see just how crazy and rabid the support of this Illini fan base is truly remarkable. Just, I don't like to say this very often, but like, it's me, coming up with the content ideas. I play the guy in front of the camera. I'm the producer. I do all the editing. I do all the graphics. I do all the uploading, all that kind of stuff. And for me, to be able to be number 2 already after just 1 year of doing this, it's just incredible. And I can't say thank you guys enough. So I wanted to just say that real quick before you guys get started with your weekends. Just a friendly reminder, in about a week, in exactly a week, June 20th, I'm going to be meeting several of you in Wrigleyville. The Cubs will be playing at 1:20. I'll be out in Wrigleyville before the game, and I'll try to stay after the game for a little bit. So if you're going to be in the area, please let me know. Send me an email at talkillini@gmail.com, and I can send you any details on that. Or if you just have any content ideas that you want to see on the show. Look, it's the summer, right? So I'm much more open right now to giving you the shows that you guys want to watch. And if there's content ideas you have, let me know. That's it for today. Until next time, ILL. Love you guys.